Hi, my name is Carol Lyles Shaw, and I will be teaching at AQS Quilt Week, which will be held in Daytona, Florida in 2019. Here's an overview of the workshops that I will be teaching. I'll be teaching 4 fun and fast-paced workshops. My workshops are suitable for knowledgeable beginners who've made a couple of quilts and those experienced quilters who've been working with this wonderful craft for a long time. In each workshop, we will explore the principles of contemporary modern quilt design. So this is a great introduction to modern quilting for traditional quilters who are just a bit curious about what the modern movement is all about. In each workshop, you'll receive complete instructions for making blocks and variations of those blocks, as well as layouts for finishing your quilts. Each workshop, as I said, is fast-paced and fun. You'll spend most of your time at your sewing machine putting those blocks together. Now, here's an overview of the first workshop, Mid-Century Modern Curve. Now, don't be intimidated by those curves. I'll show you great and easy techniques for creating these complex blocks with simple rotary cutting and piecing by machine. Even the curves are easy because you'll make them without using curve templates or pinning and matching. It's important for this workshop to choose fabrics that show contrast, meaning you'll need a light, medium, and dark in the values of the fabrics that you decide to bring. And above all, don't try to match or overmatch your fabrics. Now, here are some examples from my workshops, examples by my students. In each of these 4 samples, you'll see that the students chose fabrics that are lively and have good contrast, meaning there's a dark, a medium, and light fabrics. It's wonderful to choose a fabric that has a great vibrant print, as you see in the example on the left, and over here on the far right. These prints are just lovely, and they will help you select the other fabrics that you decide to bring with you. You don't have to use white or gray fabrics, as you'll see in this example and the example in the top center. You can use all kinds of colors. But above all, don't try to match them too closely. Have fun and bring a few more sample fabrics or example fabrics than you think you might need. Here's the second workshop. It's a stash buster, and it's an improvisational quilt as well. In this workshop, I want you to bring those large and small scraps. Although it's not tiny piecing, the scrap should be at least 2 inches on each side as a minimum. And you can also bring orphan blocks, but I'm going to warn you, we'll be cutting up those blocks. You may not use them exactly as they're pieced. So if it's something you're really, really, really fond of and you don't want to cut it up, that might not be the best option. I'll also show you options for your layout. As you see in this sample, I've placed my improv piece scrappy blocks in certain parts of the quilt, and I've added 3 different solid fabrics, the red, the yellow, and the pale beige. But you could put your scrappy blocks in any of these areas, so your quilt may look very different from everyone else's. And lastly, of course, I'll show you some easy piecing techniques for making these scrap blocks. It's all rotary cutting, it's all machine piecing, and it goes really, really fast. And if you like, you can even exchange some scraps with other people in the workshop, but that's totally optional. So bring lots of options, fill up a couple of those gallon bags with scraps, and bring them to the workshop. The third workshop is the Easy Peasy Flamingo Quilt. where you can relax and improvise to make this miniature 9-patch wall hanging. And as you can see, I've got this wavy looking border on the far left using that great modern striped fabric. And I cut that freehand. I didn't measure it. I wanted a kind of a gentle curve just to mix things up. This is a great quilt for that lovely novelty fabric where you want to showcase one of the aspects or one of the areas of that fabric in the center block. Or you could showcase it in a couple of blocks if you like. Again, you don't need a lot of fabric for this workshop, and it goes really fast. We'll practice some very, very quick improv cutting and piecing techniques. And again, if you've got a couple of orphan blocks that might work well with the novelty fabric you want to focus on, bring those along, and I'll show you some ways you can incorporate those. Now, the last workshop, the fourth one, is the fractured disappearing 9-patch. And I know some of you have probably heard that term before, but the way that we'll be fracturing and moving the pieces around is going to be very different. You will cut and slice and do inserts to really make the original 9-patch blocks totally disappear. And each block that you make will be unique. No two blocks are ever going to look alike. And I encourage you to bring a lot of your background fabric, as I showed in the supply list, because we're going to put some of the background fabric, in this case it's a gray, into the pieced blocks. So not only do they disappear, they kind of float. And lastly, once again, if you've got a wonderful focus fabric that's got a nice motif, in this case it was a Michael Miller fabric and I just loved that modern flower, you can cut and improvise your disappearing 9-patch and still preserve that center motif. It's often a lot of fun to do. So those are the 4 workshops. I hope you'll consider joining me at Quilt Week. And if you've got any questions about fabric or what to bring to the workshop, feel free to go to my website, carollylesshaw.com, and contact me through the Contact Me page on my website. You can register for the workshops at quiltweek.com, and I hope to see you at the end of February into March, where it'll be a lovely, lovely spring week here in Florida. Thanks a lot, and hopefully see you in 2019. Bye-bye.